When a probate decision is issued by a court overseas, many families assume the legal process is complete. If the will has been validated abroad, they expect assets in Vietnam to transfer smoothly. Under Vietnamese law, that expectation is often incorrect. A foreign probate judgment may be fully valid in its home jurisdiction. However, Vietnamese authorities cannot rely on it automatically. In most cases, formal recognition by a competent Vietnamese court is required before a foreign probate judgment can produce legal effect in Vietnam. Vietnam operates under its own civil procedure code. Foreign court decisions do not bind Vietnamese courts unless formally recognized. Recognition is a judicial gateway, not a procedural formality. Recognition is particularly important when the estate includes assets located in Vietnam. This includes land use rights, residential property, shares in Vietnamese companies, or bank accounts. Administrative authorities will not transfer ownership based solely on a foreign probate order. Vietnamese courts review applications for recognition under domestic procedural law. They examine jurisdiction, procedural fairness, and compliance with Vietnamese public policy. Each of these elements must be satisfied. The Vietnamese court will assess whether the foreign court had proper jurisdiction under international standards. If jurisdiction is unclear or excessive, recognition may be denied. This analysis is fact-specific. Recognition requires proof that relevant parties were properly notified in the foreign proceedings. If heirs were not given opportunity to participate, Vietnamese courts may refuse enforcement. Procedural fairness is a threshold condition. Vietnamese courts will not recognize foreign probate decisions that violate fundamental principles of Vietnamese law. For example, if the decision disregards compulsory heir protections under Vietnamese inheritance law, recognition may be limited. Domestic mandatory rules prevail over foreign outcomes. Recognition may be facilitated if Vietnam has a judicial assistance treaty with the foreign jurisdiction. In the absence of a judicial assistance treaty, recognition may be granted on the basis of reciprocity under Vietnamese procedural law. This adds a layer of uncertainty in some cross-border cases. The interested party must file a petition with a competent Vietnamese court. The foreign probate judgment must undergo consular legalization in accordance with Vietnamese regulations, unless exempt under an applicable treaty, and be translated into Vietnamese. Supporting documentation must demonstrate compliance with recognition conditions. Recognition proceedings are separate from the original probate abroad. This means additional time and cost. Families often underestimate the delay caused by this second layer of judicial review. Even after recognition, land registration authorities require compliance with Vietnamese land law procedures. Title transfer does not occur automatically. Judicial recognition is only one part of the overall process. Vietnamese banks and companies will typically require either recognized judgments or domestic inheritance declarations. Without formal recognition, asset access may remain frozen. Procedural precision determines liquidity. If a Vietnamese court refuses recognition, the foreign judgment remains valid abroad but ineffective in Vietnam. Heirs may need to initiate independent inheritance proceedings locally. This can significantly alter distribution expectations. In some multinational estates, probate is conducted abroad while separate inheritance claims are filed in Vietnam. Without coordination, inconsistent legal outcomes may arise. Strategic planning prevents duplication. Vietnamese inheritance law includes statutory protections for certain heirs. Foreign probate decisions that disregard these protections may face modification during recognition. Mandatory domestic principles cannot be contracted away. Overseas heirs often struggle with document legalization, translation accuracy, and jurisdictional sequencing. Each procedural defect can delay recognition. Cross-border estates demand disciplined coordination. Well-structured estate planning can reduce reliance on foreign court decisions. Separate Vietnamese wills or coordinated asset holding structures may streamline local succession. Preventive alignment reduces post-death friction. If assets are located in Vietnam, do not assume foreign probate orders will automatically control distribution. Recognition by Vietnamese courts is a necessary legal step. Ignoring this requirement invites delay and dispute. Overseas probate decisions can be recognized in Vietnamese courts, but only through formal judicial review and compliance with domestic law. For multinational estates, enforceability in Vietnam depends on structure, documentation, and strategic coordination across jurisdictions. If your family has obtained a probate order overseas and assets are located in Vietnam, do not assume immediate enforceability. Under Vietnamese law, foreign judgments must pass through formal recognition before they can produce legal effect domestically. To assess whether your overseas probate decision can be recognized and enforced in Vietnam, contact LTS Law at lts.com.vn for strategic legal guidance tailored to your cross-border estate structure. Recognition is not automatic, it is procedural, and it must be handled correctly.